Good evening, and thank you for joining the Voice of Many podcast with your host, Yolanda, and co-host, Vanessa. This afternoon, we have with us a really great guest. She cherishes life as a privilege, in which we all should, but this guest goes beyond and she's going to really bring it home. She's also a retired physical therapist. She's an author and a Gen Key guide to ceramic journey, energy healing, and training. She's a lover of life and committed life bearer for humanity. We would like to welcome to our show Miss Annie Brown. Welcome to our podcast show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today with both of you and the Voice of Many podcast guests, listeners that are going to hear all this.
Yes. And thank you for agreeing to speak with us on living life as love in action. The title itself is very, very powerful. But when did you begin your journey to where everything was awakened and it began to unfold?
So I began my journey really from my childhood. When I was even a teenager, I was learning yoga and some meditation techniques. And then they kind of sunk into the background a little bit as life carried on, and I went to university and my training and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my mid 30s, I really began to take meditation quite seriously because it was a point in my life where I had aging parents and 3 children and a husband in the military who was at sea quite frequently. So I began meditating to truly at that time just find a point of calm. But as I did, and I did a lot of reading at that time and finding out what was there. And a lot of my reading at that time, because of being a physical therapist, was about the health of people and how we could influence that. And that really led me into the energy, realizing how energy is affecting everything we do. And that's kind of where it began and how it just slowly evolved. I had a very nice gradual process in my awakening. Many people will have a sudden awakening from with something happening. That was not my case. It was simply a gradual increase of knowledge and experience. And when I retired from physical therapy in 2013, I then really again returned to my practice. And in that time, I met Matt Kahn and his work, which is called The Love Revolution.
Yeah.
And I also at that time was introduced to the Gene Keys. And that was another. So between those two fabulous systems and people, I really, really learned to love myself completely. Wow. And that was the turning point of realizing I am love, you are love, and we all are love. And when that happened, you know, the heart expanded, and I have carried on since then. And I live life in a continual state of being appreciative and knowing the privilege to be alive.
Yeah, embracing every day, every moment is really important, really important. So what daily practices helped you to balance your life, love, and just being able to enjoy your life? What practices did you actually put forth?
Yeah, so I really, for me, the practices were meditation. With the Gene Key practice, which I'm sure we'll discuss a little later too, they look at it as a lot of contemplation, so that it's not simply sitting on your pillow in meditation in a Buddhist type concept. It is a contemplative life where it's always being looked at in the background. So you may have an inquiry, but you're letting it live itself in your life. And so that is actually kind of mostly my practice and my way of being. And it had to be that way because I had 3 children and a business, and I had to. So, I'd be riding my bike to work and saying my prayers at the same time, because that was how it got all fit in. And so that was how it is. Today, I actually tend to spend some time in the morning quiet with myself, and I have various prayers and I meditate in that time, and and besides that, having come from a background of physiotherapist, I'm very good with self-care. And we all need to take care of ourselves. And I always said to my clients, you have to take care of yourself to take care of anyone else. And I now say you have to love yourself to love anyone else. And so self-care is really important. And that is just down to basics: good eating, good sleep, lots of hydration, exercise. And that's the taking care of yourself.
Yeah. And now with our busy schedules, busy life, it's really hard to do. I mean, and I think too with COVID, it put our bodies and our mind in shock, because we were so used to that fast going pace that when we had to stop and just stay at home, and then stay in our homes, it made it really difficult, for everyone to readjust. And then when it was time to go back, we had to adjust again. So it's that emotional roller coaster that we've all been on. And the 2 practices that you're referring to and that you do would be very therapeutical, for all of us.
Yeah. Then so when we were put inside our homes, in our boxes everywhere, those that thrived best learned to be with themselves. And that's our biggest problem. One of our problems in our world is that we aren't ever really taught well to be with ourselves as we are. And so, that was not easy for many people. Other people loved it, and now they don't want to come out and join and play in the game anymore. And then, of course, other people it was really devastating to be on their own. And they're have now returning into the world with much glee that they can see other people. For me, I've always been somebody of much balance in my life. And so I just thinking you need to have balance. You need people in your life, and you need to be able to be happy on your own too.
True. It's very true.
So what is the light language, and how can it be spoken to where it also influences you and others around you?
So light language is a healing language that comes from, it's a channeled language. So it's something that comes, in my opinion, this light language I speak comes from a feminine collective in the cosmos. And when it's spoken, it allows for frequency to come through to people. It bypasses the mind, so the mind can't grab it, and then it can just penetrate into the heart. And that's, so for myself, how I use, when I've been speaking it for about 10 years. And when I first began, it was part of my healing, that I could feel things shift in myself when I spoke light language out loud. And then I use it with other people, and I use it in groups sometimes when asked. And so it is a healing modality that comes through. Would you like to hear some?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just do a little, it just takes a moment, and I'll speak, and I may sing, and I may speak again. There's usually sort of three things, and I'll take a deep breath in between. Alakala karakushikachikanya kanya mara moya. Achanya nishtinya karnino harunya. Malenia nunushnikitinya kakakanunya. Ayahanya hunya. Ninyanya nanananinya. No 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 ninya no no ninya. Alamala hormohushnya kashichanya ayahahumunya hanya anya nyunya. There we go. So
Peaceful.
I don't know how
It was
you
peaceful.
felt that.
Yeah, peaceful. Yeah. It took me back to, I want to say the 1800s, Roman era. Just, it did. That's what I picked up.
For me, picturing just children running through a field playing in flowers,
Mm-hmm.
just being happy and enjoying life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a valuable tool. Many people speak light language now. It's a valuable tool because it just penetrates into you, and you got a picture, or you had a sensation or something like that. But it's just entered you and doing what it's to do, which is more and more how I believe we live life. Like the energies of the world, we are transmitters of those energies and conduits. And so those energies come into us, they work within us, and they move into the world, and they have their own place and destination. And it's not really me who decides that, oh, that energy is going to go and do that. That energy has its own creational ability that is moving out into the world.
So true. So true.
So, since we know a little bit more about light language, what is Gen language, and how can that help us to grow, and how can we use it?
Yeah, the difference in the two.
The gene keys.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the gene keys are a transmission of wisdom that a fellow by the name of Richard Rudd brought in quite a long time ago, and then he wrote this book called The Gene Keys. And it's looking at it's related to our DNA, because it's 64 keys that he has written, this quite large book giving an outline on each of them. And you just look up your own. Okay. And each gene key has a shadow, a gift, and a city, which is a divine quality. So it gives us a whole picture of what this gene key is. And on the website, it's the whole looking at gene keys. It's genekeys.com, and it's a voyage of self-illumination. When you go to the website, you can get a free profile, and they have a lovely area now that it says, if you're new to the gene keys, and you can get more information. But the profile gives you about 11 spheres, and it creates a pathway. They call it the golden path, and it's divided in 3 sequences: activation, a Venus sequence, which is about love and relationships, and the activation shows you some of your purpose, and then the pearl sequence, which is about prosperity. And so those 3 sequences, when you get your profile, they're all outlined. So it's a complex system, but it is an incredibly valuable system. And for myself, I find it's a system that I really enjoy being with, because it's so much expansive and there's always new little things coming up. And so you get a profile, kind of like your astrological signs, and it's based on astrology and I Ching and something called human design that he used to work in. So it's a system that you can take and you do whatever you want. When I started it, I just looked at the words for the first year. I didn't even read the book or anything. I just took the words. And one of my gene keys, my evolutionary gene key or evolution, is desire, lightness, and rapture. And I just thought, oh, I'm lightness. And I just held that. And I was like, and then it was just so powerful. And then I was hooked. So I've been using them as a tool to help myself and others for quite a while now. And yeah, there's another little thing going on with Gene Keys right now, is they've got something out and it's on their landing page of their website. It's called the 7 Days of Grace. And you can go, and it's just a 7-day free program that gives you a little taste of a number of things that are available in the Gene Key, because it's a community and it's global, and it's got a lot to offer. So it's a lovely place for people to go and explore.
Wow. So I want to ask you this too. So what inspired you to write your book? And your book title is Essence of Truth, Inspirations for Loving Life.
Yeah. So it was really a calling to write my book. It was kind of a knock on the door, which I tried to ignore. But the original first calling was to write messages of wisdom for my unborn grandchildren. And so that's where I began, and I wrote essays. It's an essay form book. There's 29 essays in it. So you can pick it up and just read one part, or you can read the whole book, whatever your desire is. But it was very much a calling, and I had a lot of healing through it, because to sort of put a book out, you tend to look at like, oh, what am I doing? And throughout the time that I was writing it, I did a lot of journaling, because journaling is another way of, when you have some emotional things moving in you, they're lovely to put them onto a piece of paper and get them out of your system onto paper. And that grounding them somewhere else other than in us is often good. So I did a lot of that. But so it's a book of different wisdoms I've gained through my life experiences. And
It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
So how can our followers and listeners and watchers all get a copy of your book and learn more about you?
My book is available on Amazon, and it's also an audiobook now. I did that last year. And so it's on all the different audiobook things. It's also Kindle or an ebook. And so it's available on a lot of other ebook platforms also, rather than Amazon too, if people want that. And if people want to get to know more about me, I'm at anneround.com. ANNEROUND.com.
Good. And we'll be posting information on your website, how to get your book, how to follow you. We'll definitely be putting all of that in for you.
Wonderful.
Annie, it's been a wonderful pleasure having you here. And I hope someone else too can learn more about the Gene Keys and how to follow light and love just as you have.
Great. That would be wonderful. That's what we want. We just want the love to increase so people can go through life moving and from love, making their actions come from love, as opposed to working and making decisions from fear. We want decisions and actions from love in the world.
So true.
that's my prayer and many people's prayer.
Yes.
And to those of you who are watching or listening, please don't forget to follow us on our social media outlets. And please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, as we don't want you to miss out on our great guests and our great topics. And we want to thank you for tuning in.